Hey guys, it's Philip from the Honda Resource. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, I'd invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I cover a good bit of DIY Honda repair on CRVs, Civics, Accords, that kind of stuff. So be sure to check out some of the videos on the channel while you're at it. So today, on this episode, we're going to be covering a valve lash adjustment on a first generation Honda CRV. And this would cover 1997 up to 2001 Honda CRV. Information will be pretty much universal for Integra that is non-vtec also. So it would cover like the B18B1, B18A1. So this particular engine here is 99 to 01, so it has the plenum on the top, but this would be applicable also to the earlier, like the 97, 98, that doesn't have the plenum on top, or if you have an Integra, it doesn't have the plenum on top either. So we'll cover this and show you the tools that you'll need to complete this job, and we'll provide you the know-how so that you can do this at home, in your driveway, in your garage, with a little bit of tools and some know-how. So this will be the tools that you'll need to complete this job. We have a 14mm ratchet wrench. All right, you can use a regular wrench or a socket and a ratchet, whatever. You'll need a 14mm. I just have a pair of right angle needle nose pliers. Again, you don't have to have needle nose or a right angle, just a set of pliers to be able to remove a spring clamp on the valve cover hose. Then we also have a 12mm valve adjustment tool. This one is actually from Shelly Products. It's part number 88800. You can pick these up on Amazon, or if you have a friend that has one that you can borrow or have, maybe you can get it from your friend. Then I have a 10mm socket just to remove like the valve cover and the plenum. I have a set of filler gauges. These are Cobalt, and I actually bought these at Lowe's. You can find them at most auto parts stores and whatnot too. I have a Milwaukee 3/8 impact to use my 10mm socket. You could get away with using a regular ratchet. And then I have a 19mm 1/2" drive. This is actually a breaker bar with a ratcheting attachment. But you can use a regular ratchet. You'll need that to turn the crank pulley. And then you'll need a little bit of silicone or RTV to when reinstalling the valve cover. So this is pretty much all the tools you're going to need to complete this job. In beginning this, we need to make sure that the car is cool, because you don't want to be adjusting your valves while the engine is hot. So to begin with, on this particular model, we have to take off the upper plenum on some of the like 97, 98, or like if you had the Integra manifold, you don't have this, so you don't have to worry about it. But it's just got 4 10mm bolts that holds the plenum on, and then it just pulls straight up. All right, now we gotta focus on getting this valve cover off. This is just our cruise control throttle cable here. Just take it and tuck it back. If you have a PCV, just pull it straight up out. It should come out. And you just tuck it back too. Take the plug wires off. Make sure you pull by the boot right here and squeeze it while you're doing it. That way you don't mess up your plug wires. All right, we can get our ground strap off, 10mm. All right, and there's 10 nuts back here. And if it has the upper plenum, it has this little bracket that goes back there. There's a couple more 10mm nuts that holds the valve cover on. All right, and then we got to get a 14 ratchet and loosen this bracket if you have it for the power steering line. This one's already loose, so I'll just take it out by hand. But a 14mm ratchet wrench works really good, or just a wrench, ratchet, whatever you have, you can make it work. All right, and then we need to take this line off back here, and I just have a pair of right angle needle nose pliers. All right, so we got that loose. And then pull up on the valve cover and get our grommets off. Some of them may not be loose, and that's fine. They can stay on the valve cover. So like these two back here are stuck. That's fine. Leave them on it. And take our valve cover gasket off. Still got our spark plug tube still stuck on here, so I'm gonna go ahead and take those off too. All right, so now what we're gonna do is turn our crank pulley. It's a 19 millimeter right here. And we're gonna turn that counterclockwise with the 19 millimeter. Like I said, we're gonna turn it counterclockwise until we get the motor at TDC. I'll move back up to the top and show you where TDC is. All right, so a good way to tell when it's at top dead center is these pulleys here have the words up on it. We'll just turn it. Again, we're turning counterclockwise. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it says up right here. So we're going, and it also says up on this one here. So we're just going to rotate it until those are both up. All right, and then they've got a little tick mark right here and right there. So we need these tick marks to face each other. All right, and once they face each other, we'll look down at the crank. Once we get the cam gears here pointed to where they both say up and our little tick marks pointed each other here, we can look down here at the crank pulley, and there's a pointer on the case right here where my screwdriver is. I know you can't really see it, but there's also a little single tick mark on the crank pulley that it should line up with. So that's how you know it's in at top dead center. Also, you could take this spark plug out and put a long screwdriver down there, and it'll be in the up position. All right, so now we've got it top dead center. We need to adjust the 4 valves, exhaust, and intake on the number 1 cylinder. And to do that, we'll be using our valve adjustment tool here, as well as the filler gauges. So looking here on the bottom of the hood, it says the intake should be a 0.10 millimeters, which is about 0.004 on the standard. And then the exhaust should be the 0.18, which is the 0.007. So that's the ones we're using, 0.004 and 0.007. We'll do the intake first, and that's the one it's a pretty tight lash on that. So the way this works is, if you see, it's got a nut on here, and it's sort of like a bolt in the center of it. So this part here breaks the nut loose, and then you can turn the center part to actually adjust it, and then you tighten the jam nut back with this, okay? So I'll put it kind of this way so that you can see what we're dealing with. So again, this is the 0.004, and we're going to slide this in here between the rocker and the lobe of the cam. And what we want it to do is we want it to drag, but not like make it to where you can't pull it out, and we don't want it to be floppy in there, okay? If you want to just be extra sure, you can get the 0.005, which is the next step up, and if it fits in there, then it's too loose. The 0.005 fits, it's too loose. So what we got to do is loosen the jam nut, which you can see I've already done, and then we use the center portion to get it to where the 005 won't fit, but the 004 will. All right, so you can see the 004 still slides in here pretty good. Got a little bit of drag to it. This filler gauge is really hard to work with because it's so thin. All right, but you see the 005 won't fit in there. So that's where that one needs to be. So we'll go ahead and tighten that one down. And to do that, you just use the center portion and hold it still. You see the flathead's not moving, just the jam nut. And you just turn the jam nut until it's tight. And you can go back and verify if you want to, just to make sure you got it good. So the 004 goes in, and the 005 it actually did go in. So I'm going to readjust it. But you get the gist of what was going on here. And so after I get done with the 2 intake ones, I'll switch over and do the 2 on the exhaust. All right, so I've got both of the intake valves done. Also, if you get any oil on the belt, make sure you wipe that off real good, because you don't need oil on your timing belt. All right, so now we're going to switch over and do the exhaust side here. And it's a .007 on the filler gauge. Same concept. Loosen the jam nut, slide your filler gauge in, and turn the center of your adjuster until it's snug on there. And like we did on the other one, you can use the .008 to make sure that it's not too loose. All right, so here we got our .008, and I can force it in there, but it's good. So now we'll move over to the second one and do it real quick. All right, so .007 fits in really nice. The .008, I can't get in, so we're good on that one. So now we'll just continue across. To adjust these, we're going to do them in firing order, okay? So we'll do 1, 3, 4, 2. All right, so that's the order we have to do these in. And to do this, we're going to turn the timing belt counterclockwise. So all right, so again, we're going to turn our crank counterclockwise, and you can see here I've marked those little tick marks with a white paint pen, just so you can highlight it so you can see this better. So what we need to do now is turn it counterclockwise until that tick mark is up here in the up position, and then we'll know it's ready to adjust the valve lash on number 3. All right, so now we have the tick mark at the top here, and we know it's ready to adjust on number 3. We're gonna be doing all 4 valves on cylinder 3. All right, so I'm just gonna put it on time lapse and knock these out real quick. You already seen me do 1 set, so it's no different on this one. Again, we're gonna rotate the crank so this tick mark here is even with the head over here, and it should also be where the PR3 words are, should be up here, and that's how we'll know it's ready for number 4. All right, so our tick mark is even with the timing cover here, and also I know you probably can't see it too well because it's not painted white, but their tick mark here is also even with the cover. So that means we're at basically 180 degrees out, and we're ready to do cylinder 4. All right, so we got cylinder 4 adjusted. Now we're gonna go to cylinder 2, which is these 4, all right? And to do that, we'll just, again, turn the crank counterclockwise until our tick mark on this one is pointing up. You can see it right there. But I actually turned it a little bit too much, so turn it back some. All right, so I think that's good there. All right, so it's starting to rain on me, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this back together. So on our valve cover, you wanna make sure that all your spark plug tube seals are still on here. And you can put like a dab of silicone on these. All right, so you can put a dab of silicone on the corners. If you have a Felpro gasket, which are usually blue, they're garbage and they stretch after one use, and it's really, really difficult to reuse. So if you have a good quality gasket like this one, I think is probably an OEM. It's still soft, so we're going to reuse it. And so we'll slide that back on there, and then we'll put our little tube back on here. Make sure to put all our washers on here. And then our little bracket goes on the back. Put our 2 nuts that hold that on, start down. And we have a bracket, holds spark plug wires, goes right in the center. And some actually have a bracket that goes here too, but this one's missing. So we're gonna send it. And again, we'll use our 10mm to tighten these. I always like to work from the inside out, so I'm not hammering down these because it will break them. You just bump them tight. That's all you need on those. They don't have to be crazy tight or nothing. All right, and then we'll use our little 10mm bolt to reinstall our ground wire. Reinstall our PCV valve. Use our 14 little bolt back here. If yours has the power steering line like this, some are a little different. Some have a little 10mm bolt that holds it to the valve cover. Some don't have power steering. This particular one has a 14mm. All right, so again, 14mm ratchet wrench. All right, that's tight. Go ahead and stick our plenum back on. 4 10mm bolts. These don't have to be crazy tight either, so. Snug them down, all right? All right, and then our throttle cable for cruise control. Some of them probably have a bracket here that holds a cable, but again, this one didn't have it, so. If you took it off previously, put it back together, right? Pretty straightforward there. So all this is together. Before you crank it up, make 100% sure that you've removed your socket off of your crank pulley. It's not good to try to start it with this on there, all right? All right, so now that's done, and we'll start it up. Sounds like new money. So now I've shown you the tools and given you the knowledge that you can successfully adjust the valves on your B18B, B18A1, B18B1, your 97 to 01 Honda CRV that has a B20Z2, B20B4, or JDM B20B, all right? So I invite you to stick around and check out some more videos on the Honda Source. And as always, I'd appreciate a like, a comment, a subscribe. You know what to do. I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Peace.